Hey, welcome back to Max Nave Horsemanship. And today I want to talk about overfeeding horses because it's a serious problem that, well, I've read a couple articles that apparently it's pretty much epidemic in North America. Now, I mentioned this in another video, but in that video I was referring more to all the extra supplements and stuff that people waste their money on without knowing whether or not the horse even needs it, and overfeeding in the wintertime, which causes problems. But other problems can be caused all year round by overfeeding your horses, and that's one of the things I want to talk about today. Now, this particular horse I've got here, she's been losing a little weight. She's getting better, but I'm going to let you take a good look at her and see what you think. Because, well, I'm kind of under the impression that most people have been looking at fat horses for so long that they don't even know what normal is. Because, well, I'll tell you what the vet had to say to me in just a minute. But first, we're going to take a little closer look at this one, and I'll try and get a decent view of her all over the place so that you can kind of decide for yourself. What do you think about this one? Is she overweight, underweight, just right? Well, let's put it this way. On a scale of 1 to 10, 5 being ideal, what would you consider her to be? That's the question, okay? Remember, on a scale of 1 to 10, and you can put this in the comments down below, what do you think this horse is? Well, I can't tell you exactly what the number would be, but I'll tell you what my opinion is and what the vet had to say in just a moment. First, we're going to take a close look at the horse, and you tell me what you think she is. Remember, scale of 1 to 10, 5 being ideal. What do you think she is? First, we'll zoom in a little bit on the withers here and the neck, because a crown on the neck can quite often be an indicator of how fat they are. But one of the things you have to remember is on this particular horse, because of her breed, she's half Arabian, half Andalusian, and they do have a little bit of a crown on the neck anyhow, so you can't go just by that. But the shoulders, this area right in here, that is one of the what they call fat pockets. And the back end there, that's another one of the fat pockets. Personally, I kind of like to go by what I see on the spine, and if it's pretty much flat, that's pretty much where it should be. If the spine is sticking up, well, the horse is probably a little emaciated. If it's actually concave, the horse is definitely fat. Now we'll take a look at her rib cage. Not much to see there. Let's move over a little at a better angle maybe and see if looking down the side you can see better. I don't know, can you see any better? I don't know. I can't really see much that way, I'm afraid. We'll look from behind maybe. Maybe that'll be better. Well, I don't know. I still can't see much there really. Let's zoom out a little bit. And, well, I don't know. I don't know if I can show you much more. What else would you like to see? You know, maybe there's other parts of the horse I should be looking at. I don't really know. Maybe the back end here from this angle, maybe that tells you a little more. I don't know. That is one of those areas where the vets themselves look at. Okay, so we've taken a good look at the horse close up, the different areas of the horse that kind of tell you the level of obesity or fitness or emaciation, or, well, tells you whether it's good or bad. So, like I said, make a comment down below. Stop the video right now, pause it, and make a comment down below and tell me, what do you think on a scale of 1 to 10, 5 being ideal, what do you think this horse is? Okay, you had your chance. And hopefully most of you took the time to make a comment, because I'm kind of curious what you think, because that really tells me a lot too. But the reason I'm talking about this stuff is because I have noticed from firsthand experience that it's gotten to the point, like I said, you know, a lot of people are so used to seeing fat horses they don't know the difference. And when a horse actually looks the way it's supposed to look, they think it's underweight and they want to fatten it up. Now, that actually leads to a lot of problems. Health problems of all kinds can be caused by excess weight on a horse. And if the horse is already carrying 100 pounds more than it should, well, you got to take that off of what you can put on its back with your saddle and your rider. Just remember that, because you know, if you're one of these people that are pretty strict on that 20% rule, well, you got to take 100 pounds and put it on the horse's back, because it's already carrying 100 pounds more than it should before you even get on the horse. Just keep that one in mind, especially if you're a little bit bigger like myself. I'm not as big as some guys, but you know, I'm not one of these little bitty guys that are 100 pounds soaking wet, you know. Anyhow, but I want to talk about this one because actually she has lost weight. There was a bit of a concern at one point that she was a little too heavy, and she has lost a considerable amount. She's definitely improved. I actually had, and that's not my opinion only, I had a vet look at her, and it was the same vet that had looked at her initially when they said she was definitely obese and had to lose some weight. And they said there was a notable improvement. So, okay, there's a good improvement. How much? Because something I discovered that I actually didn't know, that the vet informed me, is although it's very clear that, you know, the overall situation has improved on her, there's still a little bit of concavity here. It's not quite flat on the spine. And that's one of the things that I go by. I'm just, you know, I don't know a whole lot about stuff. I'm not a vet, you know. And, but one of the things the vet told me that I did not realize is on a horse, you're actually supposed to be able to see the ribs. And a lot of people get really concerned when they can see the ribs. They go, oh my God, the horse is skinny. It's ribby. I can see the ribs. Oh my gosh, it's underweight. We got to feed it more. No. You're supposed to be able to see the ribs, according to the vets. The vet says that the horses need to, you're supposed to be able to see the ribs, okay? So on a scale of 1 to 10, well, I can't give you an exact number, but she's probably 6 or 7 at least. Not more than that, though, I don't think. She's not horrible. There are others here that are, including one of my own, that are actually a lot worse than this. But that's where if you know, there's a lot of different ways of rationing their food and putting them in a dry paddock and everything else. In a lot of cases, that's simply not practical. It's not even possible. The facilities don't exist for a dry pen where you can do that sort of stuff. One of the things that you can do, though, and now this is if you have control over the product, is buy hay of lesser quality. And I know that doesn't sound, everybody always wants to go, well, I've got to get really good hay for my horse. No, you've got to get really poor hay for your horse, because in nature, that's what they eat. They eat the weeds, the little bitty bits of grass that they can find. You know, they don't have the option of gorging themselves. Now, because of the way the digestive system works in a horse, and it produces acids all the time, to prevent ulcers, it is a good idea to let them eat 24/7. That's actually what's best for them, because naturally that's what horses do. And you know, left to their own devices, horses will eat most of the day. They'll spend most of their time nibbling away. They don't gorge themselves, but they're constantly nibbling because their stomach is constantly producing acids. So they need to have constant intake of food. And I've mentioned that even just in a recent video, how that is, you know, it's important. But unfortunately, and you know, I mean, ideally, 24/7 access to food is what's best for the horse. But unfortunately, some horses will get pretty fat doing that. And that's why I say, if you have control over the situation, buy hay of lesser quality. And that can actually reduce their caloric intake so that you don't end up with a fat horse. Now around here, unfortunately, I don't have a lot of control over the way that they're being fed and such. I have minimal control over a lot of things, so we can only do so much. But I do know for a fact that it is a problem, and I've seen it not just here, but a lot of other places as well, is horses that are overweight, and there's a lot of them. And people don't even realize that their horse is actually overweight, and they don't even stop to think that when they get on the horse, that the horse is already carrying 100 or more pounds, or I don't know, 50 some kgs, whatever your metric, you know, extra weight. Okay, the horse is already carrying extra weight, and when you get on, that adds to it. So, and there's, you know, and sometimes when the horse is horribly fat, they aren't as active, which means they're not in as good a shape, which means that again, they are not capable of carrying as much weight. So that's what the topic is today, is don't overfeed your horse. Don't allow your horse to become obese. Don't automatically think it needs more all the time and that you got to keep stuffing things into the horse to beef it up, because the horse probably is not skinny. Now, when you start seeing the spine sticking up and the hip bone sticking out and things like that, yeah, you probably should be concerned. But don't just glance at your horse and determine yourself whether or not the horse is in decent condition. Consult somebody that's a little more specialized in the field, and probably a vet. Hopefully they know what they're talking about. Can't promise anything though, because they're human too. They make mistakes. They aren't always right, and that's why I said in the past that when you're getting medical advice on your horse, consult more than one vet if at all possible, because a second set of eyes, and their training might be a little bit different, their experiences are a little bit different, and they all have a different take on things. And but if you get two vets in a row and both say your horse is over or underweight, well, then that's what you can go by. But by and large, most horses, except for the ones that are horribly neglected and abused, are not underweight. In fact, the problem is quite the opposite. Most horses are fat. And if you don't believe me, ask your vet to take a look at your horse. And because every one that I've seen where I've been present while a vet has taken a look at somebody's horse, invariably, even the ones that I didn't think looked bad at all, they were told their horse was fat and it needed to lose some weight. Now, if you work it a little harder, that helps. You can keep it in better condition and burn off some of those calories. But again, like I said, I think the best option is, eliminate all the extra supplements and everything that have any calories in them, unless the horse, according to blood tests and your vet, actually needs a few different minerals here and there. You can use supplements that have those minerals but no calories. They're available. There's a couple different kinds out there that I've come across. Might not exist where you are, but there's something from some other company, same thing. So you don't have to make your horse fat in order to give it the things it needs. So always be cautious of your horse's weight. Don't be scared to spend the money on a vet to find out, because it might save your horse's life, and it might make your life a little bit easier, and it quite possibly may save you some money. It's depending on your situation. If you got the horse at home and you're the one buying the hay, well, if you don't overfeed your horse, you're going to save money. You're not going to be putting out as much hay. You can also buy hay of lesser quality, which is generally less expensive. So by doing your horse a favor and preventing obesity, you're also saving money. There's really no downside to this stuff. So pay attention to the condition of your horse and do what's best for your horse. Please stop overfeeding. Have a good day.